Welcome everybody to another edition of the E&M Podcast. I'm professional wrestler Chris Wild. We are live at bar 4133, and the Philadelphia Eagles are 3-0 for the second time in 2 years. And after watching that game, there's one thing that went through my mind, and that is, what in the hell were the Detroit Lions thinking earlier this offseason? Look, there's a lot of things we can talk about this game. We could talk about how they were 3-0 last year and how the feeling was just a little bit different. I mean, they had three dominant games. Week 3 was against a Washington team that they absolutely thrashed through the air and defensively. And this year, a little bit different. They've played 3 tough defenses, 2 of them on the road, 2 of them in a short week, coming off a Sunday night game into a Thursday night game. Sunday, of course, was at 4:25. And then now Monday night against a Tampa Bay defense that is no slouch. Look, they're not an easy out, was this Tampa Bay team. Yes, Baker Mayfield was at the helm. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers were 2-0, beating the Vikings and beating the hapless Bears the week before. They had promise, they had upside, and Baker Mayfield looked better than he's looked in the past. But this defense of Tampa Bay has always been their calling card. And this year, I don't think it's going to be any different with Todd Bowles being a defensive-minded head coach, one of the best. And you talk about the best. You talk about Bill Belichick. You talk about Brian Flores. These are great defensive coordinators that this Philadelphia Eagles offense has had to deal with. But when I go back to talking about the Lions, I'm not coming here to beat up on the Lions. Trust me. But you got to wonder, when you watch a guy like Jalen Carter, and the Lions were not the only team to do this. They moved down. And in the pick that they got from moving down, they picked Jahmyr Gibbs, who I think is going to be a great player. By doing that, they trade DeAndre Swift to the Philadelphia Eagles. And when we talk about this offense and you talk about DeAndre Swift, he just looks different. I said the same thing last week that I'm going to say this week. He looks strong. He looks fast. He looks electric. And this Eagles offensive line is opening up some huge holes for DeAndre Swift, which he is coming through. That might have to get edited out, which he is running through with insane speed. The guy just looks different. There's a difference between him and Kenneth Gainwell, and I can take Kenny G all day long. But DeAndre Swift, 130 yards on the ground. This year, only second to Christian McCaffrey in total yards, with only having 1 carry against the New England Patriots the first week. He's absolutely, if I'm a Lions fan, I'm sick. I'm just sick. And again, it's week 3, still a long way to go. But I'm sick, and not just because of DeAndre Swift. It's about the guy that I mentioned before. Jalen Carter looks like an absolute monster. I'm wearing a shirt that says Unleash the Hulk. Jalen Carter is the Hulk of this Philadelphia Eagles defense. He's playing 40% of the snaps, 40 to 50% of the snaps, and he just looks amazing out there. Looks like a guy that could have been the first overall pick if not for some off-the-field issues, and everybody just passed on the guy and passed on the guy and passed on the guy, leaving a huge Hulk-sized chip on his shoulder, and he is wrecking offensive lines. He's absolutely wrecking offensive lines. Himself, Jordan Davis. Fletcher Cox looks rejuvenated. Fletcher Cox looks like he's 5 years younger, and he looks like he's having a hell of a time out there. He looks like he's having fun again, which is something we haven't seen from Fletcher in a long, long time. It's absolutely awesome. Sean Desai is doing a great job with this defense. There's still some secondary issues that I have a problem with, but when you watch a guy like Reed Blankenship, who's undrafted last year, take away Baker Mayfield's first turnover of the season and just a heads-up play, it's unreal. You see Nicholas Morrow, who was released, put on the practice squad, now has the green dot, calling the plays for the defense. A guy like Cunningham, who wasn't even in this team's plans coming into this season, playing a huge role, looking good. The Eagles got Jalen Hurts threw an interception that was just a great play by the defensive player, in my opinion. And the Eagles scored points off that, out of a safety. This is, when is the last time you've seen those events transpire? It has just been, it was a pleasure to watch that defense. And we're all thinking, man, but we want to see this offense just be the offense from last year. And Jalen to have 300 yards passing and 3 touchdowns. And you want to see him running all over the field with sprint and speed like he had last year. They have faced again, and I'm going to say this again, 3 really good defenses with defensive-minded, exotic head coaches. It doesn't get better than Bill Belichick. You got Brian Flores, Todd Bowles, who gave Jalen fits in 2021, if you remember the he can't read defenses line. They just have not played the teams that they played last year, like the horrible Detroit defense last year that they played in week 1, or week 3's Washington couldn't do anything on any side of the football. It's different this year, and they're still winning. They're still putting up points. They're not playing their best football offensively. I look at Jalen Hurts, and I wanted to call this the flu game. We all know Michael Jordan's playoff flu game, and obviously Jalen Hurts being represented by Jordan this year, and he had flu-like symptoms before the game. Look, guys don't like going to their regular jobs, their office jobs, sitting in a chair behind a computer with the flu or flu-like symptoms. Jalen Hurts went out and was the quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles against a very tough defense in Tampa on Monday Night Football with flu-like symptoms. And according to Jason Kelsey, a lot of the team was dealing with that as well. Again, this team is just different. It's not just a talent aspect, it's an attitude aspect. You can see it, and a lot of people want to hate on it. I'm not going to. Does Jalen have more turnovers in 3 games than he had until the midway point of last year? He sure the hell does. Again, he also has a new offensive coordinator, and they're playing really good defenses. But at the same time, he's getting the job done, and they're winning. Beautiful touchdown pass. One of the most beautiful throws you'll probably see of the year to Zacchaeus, staying in the pocket, letting things happen, letting things open up, throwing Zacchaeus open. He had 2 passes to A.J. Brown in the end zone that A.J. Brown dropped that I thought should have been caught for touchdowns. So there's a lot of different things that happened. But again, Jalen Hurts he's not disappointing me. There might be some people out there that are looking at him going, what's wrong with Jalen? I mean, he's not throwing the same things that he was last year. Doesn't have 330 yards passing. The Eagles are not going to put up probably 70 points on a team like the Dolphins did this week. It's just not going to happen. But this Philadelphia Eagles team on the offensive side of the football with the offensive line and the defensive side of the football with that defensive line are becoming bullies, and teams do not want to face them. It's an intimidation thing that happens with this football team, and that's what makes good teams great and what makes great teams champions. And man, again, I can't sit here and knock them for their week 3 performance. Last week it was a little like, This week, man, again, they left points on the board, but they're still doing it. We're sitting here 3-0. Now, if we were 0-3 and the offense was playing out of its mind, I mean, would you be happy? Because I know I wouldn't. As Jalen Hurts said, keep the main thing. He also said in a press conference, I'm gonna leave with this because this video is getting a little long. He said in a press conference, they asked him, like, what makes you not care about having 300 yards and 3 touchdowns as long as you win? Like, what makes you not care about that? And he simply said, from losing, because the man doesn't like to lose. And with that kind of attitude, he's not going to lose much here. That being said, guys, I hope you enjoyed this reaction video. I'm going to have a couple other videos coming out this week as long as my schedule works out for me. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Birds are 3-0. Detroit, what were you thinking, man? What were you thinking? But thank you. Everybody stay safe, stay healthy. Go Birds. I'll see you later.